Hey, this is Kyle Brown with Andy Murphy on Mindset by Design.
So, Mindset by Design crew, you've had my awesome intro as always. So you know I'm pumped about today's guest. How are you, Kyle?
I am fantastic. Always exciting to talk to you.
Oh, always exciting to talk to you, mate, too. It's you've got you're in your gym right now, right? Because I can just see equipment everywhere, man.
This is 50% fitness studio, 50% man cave. So, you know, I kind of looked at it this way. If I ever upset my wife, which, you know, every man who's married upsets his wife.
That's what we do.
Sent to go sleep on the couch, I could always just drive down here and I've got a great man cave. So I'm good to go.
Is all the weight equipment part of the man cave?
Well, this is the work part. The man cave part is the other side where I've got my infrared sauna, I've got nice comfortable chairs and couches, and I've got sports center. So life is good.
Infrared saunas. I heard really good things about them.
Huge fan. I just sat in there. Actually, I was able to do I'm big into figuring out unique spaces to do coaching sessions. So I was actually sitting in my infrared sauna doing a coaching call before this, which was great. So I only knew.
What does it do for you? Because why is it different from a normal sauna, you know?
It's mostly the benefits of the infrared light, which are incredibly detoxifying and just healing for the body. You know, the different frequencies of light have very different effects on your body. Everything, you know, it's kind of like, you know, those cool from the 80s blue blockers, and we had to block out the blue light. So that's kind of stuff we want to lock out. And then the stuff we want to lock in are things like infrared. So it's sitting in the sauna with that infrared heat and just enjoying the health benefits at the same time.
Interesting. Because it penetrates deeper, right? Is that what it is?
It penetrates deeper and differently. So if you're using infrared technology, the nice thing about the infrared is that it's just got a very nice, healthy, detoxifying effect, which is the best thing. Typically, when you're in a sauna, you're just in there and you're sweating it out.
Sure are.
and this, it's a little different. It's drier and a very different feeling than when I've sat in a sauna. And the best thing is I'm sitting in this sauna, I can actually close my eyes and not worry about some unique dude trying to make a move like I'm in a gym sitting next to him.
Well, yeah, you got to be careful about that, mate.
If I fall asleep and meditate in here, I'm totally good. If I did it inside of a gym sauna, I may wake up with an interesting story to tell you on the next episode.
Hey, at least it's a story, mate. At least it's a story.
I really think some of our craziest experiences in life become our best stories once we get over it.
Right? It's funny. I don't think I've met an interesting person ever in my life that hasn't been through a lot of shit.
Totally. It's incredibly boring to know what's going to happen for the day, right? If I wrote out my schedule and I went, and this is every little detail that happened for the day, and I wrote it out and said, I'm going to do this and this and this, and that's my day, and it actually went according to plan, life would not be worth living. So
we wouldn't learn anything, man, right? We wouldn't learn anything. It's funny being an entrepreneur, right? And I've mentioned this loads of times on the podcast, but it's interesting because it's such a different world from the 9-to-5 world, right? It's like two different species or planets. And it's funny because I was having this, it was maybe a year or so ago now, but a family member actually, a friend of a family member anyway, actually said to me, Andy, I don't get you. I don't get how you can not know what's going to happen. And I went, what did you say? And he went, I just don't understand it. I don't understand how you can not know what's going to happen. I said, that's the magic ingredient. I don't ever want to know what's going to happen, right? And that's the point.
Completely. How is that any different than any other form of entertainment? Who wants to watch a movie backwards? Like, boring, right?
Right.
Like, I can give you one guarantee. And it's either you're going to end up in ashes, you're going to end up in a 6-foot box, maybe a little bigger if you're a little taller, and that's it. So the rest of it, I don't want to know either. And I don't need that security, because at the end of the day, that's not where security comes from.
No, it doesn't, right? Where does it come from? Inside, right?
Bingo. Spot on. It's faith. And anytime you get tested, it's really easy to give the sound bites and to feel really good about all of these things and say, hey, just keep positive and it's all great, when you're not being tested.
Right. So is it like, how long have you been doing this game for, man? How long have you been actually helping people with the bodies and the health?
Good question. So I don't have a fat to fit before and after story. And maybe
you're one of the few.
No, I think maybe that's also why that the fitness is just a small part of what I do, because my before and after picture is me next to my dad. I'm 6 years old. We're both doing a front double bicep pose. I'm wearing a t-shirt that says the Bike Club, which was the club I made up as a little kid. And I had my dad wearing one too, because he's really big and I needed somebody big to represent, And I got into this stuff around then. I was literally lifting weights at 6. I was hitting a punching bag at 6 in my basement in the suburbs of Chicago. And we had pictures of good looking girls on the wall. And I was listening to Tony Robbins on tape. A little bit older than that, 10, 12, 13. My dad was like, here you go, listen to the Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within, or whatever. It was his first big cassettes on tape. So I just got into this stuff incredibly early, and I was using it as a medium to deal with being antisocial, with being shy and angry, and just not feeling like and it was like my antidepressant, much more, hey, I need to do this to lose weight. And I felt really good doing all this stuff. And one of the first books I ever read was a bodybuilding book. And we're talking as young as you're starting to read books. And if I look back at it, it's some pretty narcissistic stuff.
But it is, bodybuilding is.
It's Adonis material, but that was my kickstart into this.
Wow.
How do I use this as an antidepressant to save my life, if you will?
Is so go dad, first of all. Well, what a dad to eat. That's incredible, right? Because most people's parents are like, you suck. Go and do something. Money's hard. Life's tricky. Life's difficult. Most people aren't starting off like that. I know, definitely my world wasn't. So what was that like as a kid growing up? Because you instantly would have seen the world a different way to everybody around you, especially going through teenage years and stuff, right?
Oh, I can give you the best analogy for it, and it's the movie Groundhog Day.
Okay.
The funniest part of that whole thing, which is an iconic movie, is that it was filmed in my hometown.
Is that right?
Yeah. So 18,000 people in Woodstock, Illinois with me growing up. And I felt like it's not that I felt better than everybody, but I felt like I was destined for something so much different than what I had, which was the predictability. And everyone's like, oh, that's a cute movie. And I'm like, yeah, you forgot the part where Bill Murray wanted to off himself every day until he finally gave in.
Right.
And I felt more like the Bill Murray trying to off himself, figure my way out of this because I can't get out. And when I came to peace with it, was much more actually when I was emancipated. And emancipation was a mental journey. It had nothing to do with really leaving the town. It had much more to do with me realizing that all of this is inside my head, and it's my perspective. Which is why I understand why the Buddhists love that movie so much. It's the chance to relive the same day over 1,000 times.
Right. You might as well like use it the right way. But that's interesting. So you grew up, you started developing, like you were involved in fitness. Your dad showed you Tony Robbins, and then you were going through school and everyone was just doing the same things, and you were seeing a completely different reality to everybody else, right?
Completely. And so
Wow.
my first approach to it was not to try to off myself. It was to try to get myself stoned to death. Now, not by
That's
people
worse.
throwing stones at me, but by me smoking marijuana. So
Right.
it was like, can I just numb myself to all this?
Right. And
And
that's the thing.
guess what? It doesn't work. So
Doesn't.
yeah, so it's like everyone's like, so how was your childhood? I'm like, I don't really remember.
Don't really remember. It's kind of a bit of a cloud.
Totally. Everyone's like, do you remember when we did this? I'm like, no.
Was it good? You got any photos?
Did we have fun? Did I say something bad to you? I'm sorry if I did. I don't remember.
That's funny. So how was that your teenage years?
Those were my teenage years completely. And on my last day of high school, I handed everything over to a friend and said, okay, time to be the best version of myself. And
Wow.
not that, it's like I didn't need the crutch anymore, and I knew that I was destined for something different, and I needed to really focus on becoming this, I guess, athlete at the time was my whole focus, and it changed. Yeah, my last day of high school, I went to a friend and I made him really happy, and I said, "Here you go, enjoy."
You'd have been so happy. So then what? You left school, and then where did you go? What happened?
So I went to college at Indiana, and as I was there for a couple of years, played water polo. Then I went and lived in London for a year.
I remember you telling me that. Yeah, I got a Union Jack T-shirt on for you too.
I love it, and massive respect for your homeland. I had reverse culture shock on the return.
Really?
Versus not going there. Yeah, I did not want to stay back home.
Come back. Yeah.
Did not want to come back.
Why?
And I did. I had a real affinity for your people. You guys say it like it is. You have witty humor. You think versus just listen to what people tell you and just say, that sounds right.
That's funny. That's funny.
So I related. I think that was pretty much it. And you know, the world's about exploration, and
totally.
That was a beautiful part about.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. And it's very much like the East Coast in a lot of ways, right? The attitude, it's very East Coasty. So I know I've got a lot of friends in New York and that, and it's the same attitude. So then you did all that. You went to the UK, you came back. So how have you developed your fitness industry, like in the fitness industry? And what do you feel that you're doing different, or what you're trying to disrupt about this industry? Because it seems like everyone's just doing squats these days. Well, all the girls, that's all they seem to be doing. It's squats, right? But it doesn't mean it's healthy. So, I mean, what's your mission, man?
It's really amazing because, you know, at the end of the day, you've just got to give it all to Kim Kardashian. She not only made the women start working to build big butts, but now all the guys are like, I don't do curls anymore. Forget your arms. It's all about your legs and your butt. And it's like, right. Is Kim K really doing that for the dudes as well? I think for me, the real epiphany, if you would, was I started the industry, fitness industry in 2001. I moved and I left the corporate space, and I knew that was my passion. There was no industry. It was really something just like what entrepreneurship is to a lot of people at the time. It was kind of like, oh, you're doing this while you figure out what you really want to do.
Right.
And now it's like glamorous in 2019 to be in the fitness industry, and everybody, it's like your credentials are based on how many people hit like and follow on your social media preference. That's where you go to University of Social Media Likes. And
marketing,
yeah, forget credibility, education, and knowledge and know-how, but that stuff doesn't matter. So I think for me,
true.
By the time I was about 21, my first ever training session, I was sitting in there and I had a real epiphany, realizing that it's not about telling people to do what I'm doing. I had a client and I tried to really dumb everything down, and I said, hold on to this little bar for your balance and just do a couple body weight squats. And about 4 squats in, she had this huge emotional flood where she released something. started crying her eyes out, grabbed her towel and started smacking me with it, screaming in the gym, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you." All the tears coming out.
Wow.
That was number one of me being a trainer. And I would say from that moment going forward, I realized, wait a minute. I can't coach somebody. I need people to, be met with where they're at instead of me just saying, "Hey, here, follow this program."
Gotcha.
And as far as what I bring unique and different to this world and this industry is, I think what I do is I start with the 30,000 foot view.
Gotcha.
The big picture, which nobody ever does. I think most people are so focused on, well, this person's coming to me and they're obviously sick, fat, and tired. So I need to tell them how to stop being sick, fat, and tired.
Right.
And I'm going to pretend that that's holistic, when holistic is not that in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Mindset, you're just using cliche words. I think for me, it's much more about remembering that the whole point of any form of coaching is an improved quality of life.
Beautiful.
And an impact and a legacy. So when I'm working with people now, I work backwards and I start with, okay, write out your obituary. Who are you? Where'd you start? Who the hell's showing up to your funeral? And you work it backwards. And that's the thing I think that works better backwards, is really understand like what's the whole purpose of all of this, and what's your version of your meaning of life, and what kind of legacy are you leaving behind, and what impact are you going to have by others if you get in better shape, and how much better of a husband or father or businessman or woman or leader are you going to be to inspire those around you by the fat loss is just a byproduct. What is the journey you're about to go on, once you know where you really want to go in the first place. And if they try, it's like, it's funny, I'm sitting in here right now, I don't have a scale in here.
Is that you're probably the first gym ever, right?
Ever. Planet Fitness, they have me beat because they're feeding people pizza and donuts and stuff like that.
What?
Planet Fitness feeds people pizza and donuts, and if you make noise in there, you're not allowed to stay a member. So they have me beat in the sense of being the anti-gym. But for me, my thing is, I think I am the first gym that doesn't have a scale in it, and I pride myself on that, because here's the thing: if somebody comes to you as a coach, I try to equate a little bit more about what I'm doing, similar to like a Bill Belichick or a Phil Jackson or a Coach K. When they come to you, if the player comes to the athlete and says, "All right, here's what I want, and here's how I want to do it, and here's the entire plan," what do you think one of those elite level coaches would do? They'd smile, laugh, and depending on their personality type, maybe yell at you. Right? Bobby Knight would yell at you and maybe put his hands in places like your throat. I don't know. But for me, it's like when they come here and they're saying, "I want to lose 20 pounds," I'm like, "No, you don't." That's a byproduct of what you really want. And I try to really dig down like the layers of an onion and find out, what the hell do you really want?
Gotcha.
And pretty much every one of them wants to look better, feel better, have more energy, improve their quality of life, get in a better relationship. Like, it's much more, that's the true aspect of the holistic. It's not like, well, if you think better thoughts and you eat these calories better and you work out a little bit longer and harder, therefore you'll reach your goal. And what if most of my industry is sending people towards a goal that isn't their actual goal?
That's huge, because again, that's the social media aspect, right? They're presenting a picture of something that isn't them. Like we look at fighting, right? That's martial arts has been my world all my life. And the top fighters in the world, besides, you got some unique people like Joyce St. Pierre and that, but most fighters at the top, they've got weird bodies. They're not like, do you know what I mean? They're not looking like a fitness model. They're not looking like a bodybuilder. You'd look at them and they just look like regular dudes, right? Who maybe train a bit. And if they then went down the wrong path to try and look like what they're being shown on social media, they'd get knocked out quick.
Dude shows up shredded, has no energy, gets knocked out, and he's just craving water.
Right. Exactly. Zero skills, can't think, just the body. Look good.
4% body fat, looks amazing, but his endurance is like enough to walk into the ring, and that's it. And
Exactly.
he holds his flex, and then he passes out, and he's just craving a steak. Yeah,
just gets the photo of him being in the cage. That's it.
It's so true. It's like it's the goal is completely jacked. And for me, I have a very clear physical lifestyle goal. I want to laugh 400 something times a day. I don't want to count them, but I want to be looked at. If people are whispering behind my back when I walk in a room, I want it to be like, look at that 70, 80-year-old guy. He's so immature saying 13-year-old boy jokes. Seriously, grow up. But dang, he's in really good shape and really playful. Like, I want to be that guy. I want to be the embarrassing grandpa who's like super fit.
That's awesome. Because the truth is it's feeling self-worth, right?
Absolutely. Like, we are sitting here on this ball spinning around super fast that isn't even a speck of dust. And we're sitting here worrying about just the most useless crap ever. And I don't care how much you work out, how organic you eat, or any of that stuff. If you're just a big mental mess, it's like, what's the point?
And you see it all the time. I do, and you do too, right? And
yeah,
it's just what is the point? What is the point, right? So, I mean, when has been a time in your life, man, that you've had to really reset? You know what I mean? It's like you were going down a path, and it just feels like you're hitting that wall again and again. And it's just like, how did you get that clarity? What did you do to reset and really find the path that you're on now with online coaching that you do and everything like this?
You know, that's a great question, because it happens a lot. And most recently it happened with, my January was a perfect example.
Okay.
So I was sitting here, and I'm always pride myself that, I never get sick. And if I do, it's a day or two, once every 5 years or something. And,
right.
and just because people say it's flu season or cold season, that's all just in their head.
Right.
And I've always had that belief.
Right.
And then this January came along, and January 1st, I'm in the gym training like I'm always training, saying, it's okay. I've got this goal of I'm doing a Spartan race January 26th.
Oh, okay.
So I was all in phenomenal shape, feeling great, eating clean, everything's good, head is great, vibing high, and bam, I got 102 fever.
Oh.
So my head, screw it, push through it. 10 days later, I still have 102 fever. And I was like, what is going on here? And got a lot of family members who are doctors. So finally they said, go in for a chest x-ray. So to keep the story brief, I go in, finally end up having to go into the emergency room. And when they did my chest x-ray, I felt like I was in a TV show, because the woman does the chest x-ray, grabs a microphone and called a code. Like,
whoa.
Code blue. And it was like, wait, that code's for me?
Whoa.
They rushed me in, and I knew something was off, but I didn't know how bad it was. I was in, mental, everything is awesome denial.
Right.
They basically saved my life. I was in critical condition, good mid-January. They put an IV in one arm of 2 liters of fluid, and then I've been very antibiotic, but I was very pro-antibiotic when they were saving my life with them.
Funny how that works.
Time and a place for everything. And so I sat down and I sat there, and at first, the first 72 hours, I would say the emotion was fear. I'm like, what is this? What's going on? They're looking at me like, oh, what's up with this super healthy, fit guy? Maybe he has AIDS. So they woke me up at 5 a.m. with an HIV test. I was like, what?
Wow.
So yeah, long story short, I went through this just this past month, and it made me say anything that you take for granted, it can be ripped away from you at any time. And something as important as your lungs. So I sat there, I woke up and I quickly said, all right, everything that I've studied and preached, it's time to put it to the test. And I woke up, and the moment that on that Sunday, the moment they put me out of the critical care unit and into a regular room and said I'd be there for about a week, I said, all right, now that I can think sort of straight, I'm going to test myself on every one of these things. Everything they just said to me about a week is BS. I'm getting out of here tomorrow.
Dude, I love it.
Hobbling around like a baby calf because I hadn't walked in 3 days. And I'm walking through the hallway saying affirmations, like every day and every way I'm getting stronger and stronger. And I know I had to smell like death. I know I looked like a terrorist with facial hair that grows in like 15 minutes. And I'm hobbling around this thing for 30 minutes. It's going in laps every day and every way. I'm getting better and better. And I didn't care who heard me or what I said. I'm like, you know what? There's lots of crazy people in hospitals that talk to themselves. I can just
right. You're all good.
Great. And 30 hours later, I'm out of there. So,
dude.
Yeah, the stuff worked. They told me at 11, they said, it's going to be probably 3 more days. You don't seem ready. And that just got me pissed off. So at 1, I started power walking for 40 minutes, saying the affirmations louder. I'm like, I'm going to walk faster than any nurse in here. And the pulmonologist saw me and she's like, wow, you really want to go home? Came in and let me go that night. So
wow.
So the reset on that was like, okay, what the heck would cause something like this?
Right.
And that took some soul searching. And I think the answer to me, just looking at it all, was stress. Simple as that. Stress. Yes. And stress is a lack of faith. It's a fear of the unknown. And even if you think, I'm not stressed, I'm fine, I'm using all these anti-stress tools to combat the stress, it's still there. And it doesn't matter if you eat organic and take good care of yourself.
Right.
Like, it doesn't care.
Right.
It's going to take you, and it's going to say, hey, this is just like doing hardcore drugs like meth.
Yeah.
And rip your life away from you.
Yeah.
So,
stress.
This was a reset for me, and it made me say, all right, just because I think I can be this alpha go hustling business guy,
right?
I need to respect the circadian rhythm, and I need to respect that we do our repair in our sleep. And I pride myself in being an anomaly that doesn't need the same amount of sleep as somebody else, and all these other things that I'd convinced myself.
Gotcha. Damn, buddy.
Took my humble pie, dug in with my fork, took a big bite, and said, let's readdress some stuff right now.
Wow, man, that's like what we're on, like the 6th, the 7th today of February.
Dude, if you were to see me 3 weeks ago, you would have seen me on what could have been a proverbial deathbed.
Dude, that must that's so many lessons there, right? There's so many lessons there for me listening to that story, and I'm sure the listeners too, because it doesn't matter where you are, right? Physically, mentally, anything can be taken away from you in a second. But more importantly, the power of you resetting your nervous system by purely using repetition of language to bypass what we call the critical faculty, right? The wall in between our conscious and unconscious mind. Because you hammered those repetitions, right? And I'm sure that you were lying in bed doing the same thing to a degree, right?
You know how hard it is to do when you're not vibing high?
Oh, exactly.
When you're in flow state, everything is easy. When you're working out every single day, it's like, yeah, this is just part of who I am.
Right.
When you're eating healthy, it's like, yeah, this is just how I eat. Right. When you're mentally feeling great, it's like, yeah, that's just how I think and how I act today.
Right.
But when somebody rips their hand into your chest and rips out your innards, which is what that felt like,
I bet
and you're hacking and coughing, and the last thing you can do is meditate because I can't sleep, can't think, whatever, and it's all ripped from you, then it's like, all right, this stuff isn't on autopilot anymore. Can I dig down into it and make this be truly who I am? Do I really believe this stuff when there's no one around besides me and a hospital bed and a bunch of people I don't know? And that was the test. And the answer is, thank God I didn't say, when I'm done with my business, then I'll get fit. When my business is at a certain point, then I'll eat it. I'll work on mindset after I launch this next product.
Yes. I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying.
If I would have done all that stuff, I'd be in the hospital still for another 3-4 weeks.
And dude, that's the problem. That's the problem with people's thinking right there. Because it's like people think I'll just get here and do this, then I'll get healthy, right? Or I'll just change my diet when I get here. The biggest one with me, with mindset, with mental performance, it's like, yeah, I'm just really overwhelmed and stressed right now. I'll just I'll contact you then. And it's like, no, you're in the trenches now. UK trenches, right? It's an old word that we always say. But in the trenches, in the war right now, you're in the battle. That's when you need the skills. That's when you need to reset. That's when you need to eat right, train. You need to look after your nervous system. That's when you need it right now.
And this is my biggest epiphany from this whole thing related that to answer the big thing that these people are missing out on. When you think, no, I just need to get through with this, what they're missing is this. Whatever this is that you're doing, if you're doing it from a state of panic, worry, stress, lack of health, any one of those things, you're doing it really poorly. So more time to do something poorly is not going to yield a better result. Right. And you're not going to solve a problem from the state of, from a bad state, right? So for me, let's say you're looking at somebody and they're like, I'm really just stressed about this and it's a financial issue and I've just got this. So I just got to get through this one thing and then I can work on my mindset and then I can work on my health or body. It's like, so you're going to solve that problem in a horrible mental condition.
Right.
Or you can call a bandy and learn how to solve that problem from an awesome mental condition. Which one do you think is going to work better?
Of course. It's the truth. And it's the same with health. It's the same with fitness, with you, Cal. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Because when your cortisol levels are spiking, when your mind is constantly got 20 things it's focusing on, when the chemicals pumping around your brain aren't right, when the food you're not putting in your gut is affecting your gut biome, right? So it's affecting your serotonin response. It's affecting your emotions, right? When all of this isn't on point, how the fuck are you going to even you can't think clearly?
It is no different than your friend who sits there and you meet up for lunch and they're bitching and complaining and negative. I don't understand why I can't meet a good girl. They're all stupid sluts, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, dude, if I was a girl and I heard this conversation, I totally want to date you.
Oh yeah, exactly. You're the best catch right now.
Like right now, you are selling yourself just as absolute gold. Oh, and by the way, the fact that you look down and you can't even see your own Johnson, man, that would make you even more.
That's funny, but it's true.
They're delusional. It's a complete delusion, and it's because. Again, that's why when you say like, what am I doing that's different? I like to look at things like I'm a Martian in a UFO looking down at human beings on planet Earth and the rest of the animal kingdom. And the rest of the animal kingdom works in symbiosis and flows really nice. And they know who they are and what they're doing. And then you have this one animal that is so delusional that it doesn't even think of itself as an animal. Right?
It's so true.
And it's done some really cool stuff because of that. But it also does the dumbest shit in the entire world. And you look at it, it's going, what are you doing? What are you doing? If we were to sit here with our cell phone and pull out our iPhone and see a penguin pretending to be a cheetah, we would die laughing. I mean, like, what are you doing? penguin, you're moving like a cheetah to try to attack a lion. We would just die laughing, right? And it would go viral. Yet we look at humans forgetting that we're animals doing this crazy crap, and we're just like, well, that's just human nature. I'm like, no, it's not. That's human nature.
Right, I love that. And we take all, I love that, man. That's funny. And we would look at, like, if you zoomed up, like how you're talking about, and I love to do those thought exercises too. If you zoomed up and we chunked up high enough, right? And so you're beyond 30,000 foot view, right? And we looked at the human species as a collective instead of an individual, because that's what happens when you zoom out instead of microing in, then you would realize that we're just the same. We're just one thing, right? And if we talk about quantum physics with entanglement, and it's completely interconnected energetically, and they talk about, people might say quantum physics, well, that's what you're talking about is everyone's, you're full of crap if you think everyone's connected energetically. Well, do you know about quantum computing? Do you know that China just took half an atom and took it to space, and the other half of the atom on Earth reacted absolutely instantly to whatever effect they did on that one? We're connected, right? We're connected. And if we understand that we're not that different, then like you're saying, we've got to understand that we all go through pains, traumas, we all have the past, and we're all doing our best, you know? And that's the thing, we're doing our best. So when it goes to you, and I understand, like, it was interesting talking about stress. It's interesting. I was talking to a new friend of mine, which is my girl's been friends with for a long time. And she's one of the top, if not the top, stress, like managers, coaches. She works with everyone you can imagine at the highest level, completely involved in neuroscience. She's a doctor. And what I didn't know is there is a stress gene.
Wow.
Right.
Not either. Exactly.
There is a stress gene. Fact, neuroscience, is what it is. And genetically, it makes us certain people, we all have different scale of the gene. Some people are at the high, like she literally collapses. That's why she got into all of this. She collapsed, been in hospital loads of times, just with anxiety and to the height. And she's so sensitive to everything. And so she's constantly trying to deal with this gene. So when we start to understand that this gene, Heidi is the name, if you want to Google it, I'll put it into the show notes. She's an incredible lady coming on the podcast. And that kind of, I only learned this a couple of weeks ago. And it kind of revolutionized everything, because I suffer with the same. I suffer with like anxiety for years and years and years that I just take over. And is it affecting my performance? No, because I'm just powering through, right? But that damages you. It's not good to be constantly in redlining like you're in a car. Although the car will still drive redlining, how long can that car continue, right?
Exactly. And so many people either A, pretend it doesn't happen to them. They keep it to themselves and they're like, oh, well, only show your best side.
Yeah.
Or what I find is a lot of people, it happens to them first thing in the morning, right as they wake up. And that's where it's happened to me. Is right when you're just getting into that theta dream-like state.
Uh-huh.
And you'd think it would happen more if you hear this noise in the background. I'm right near a military base. It's where my studio is. So it's like, are we going to war today? Oh, maybe.
Stressful.
Sure, but hey, that's okay. At least nobody bombed where the base is, so we're good.
That's true too.
I'm in a safe place. But in all seriousness, I think it's part of that entrepreneurial excitement. I think a lot of entrepreneurs that need for create uncertainty, build, develop, and just this, maybe we thrive on that fear of the unknown a little bit, as much as we freak out about it. So
true, right? We do. That also creates momentum, right? Also creates movement. Because it's the thing I've found, and I'm sure you have too. And I've worked, a lot of people, like when you hit a certain level of income, like clients I've had who are earning silly millions a year, they get to a certain point of status. They've achieved a certain place in their life that they've always worked to get. Then they achieve it. And then they wonder why they can't then create the same momentum, right? And this is what I tune in their brain a different way. But understanding before it was to move away from pain, right? Then they hit a certain level, they get comfortable. They don't have that drive the same way, right? Because it like, I'm coughing. Like they said in like with Mike Tyson, for example, or fighters, it's hard to be the baddest man on the planet when you're sleeping in silk sheets.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
And so what we often find is that we get scared of the pain. Instead of understanding it, using it, embracing it, and understanding that as human beings, we have this constant fight or flight response that we have to understand, and we've got outdated genetics, right? So if we start to understand this, and now we know there's actually a stress gene, then we probably should be kinder on ourselves, right?
Yes. Yes. We are always the ones who beat ourselves up the most, worse than any outside stressor. And what I find it's interesting is when I'm working with somebody on their nutrition, for example,
Yep.
they set this goal of perfection, and they don't understand benchmarking. So I even had this client today I was talking to. I'm just completely screwing up. And I'm like, okay, let's use a little objective reality. I'm going through. I'm like, well, if you compare now versus 2 weeks ago, you've got about 25 wins and 1 loss, yet you punched yourself in the face like you just ate at a buffet for the entire day, and then you went and did a line of Coke, and then you shot yourself with some heroin. Like, who gives a crap? Like, on your diet is not the goal. You don't want that written on your tombstone. You're missing the point. And that so much of that beating yourself up and just like, it's selective amnesia.
Yes.
Like
I love that.
Things. And
I love that. Selective amnesia, because it really, you have to like have that skill, right?
Yeah.
You have to have that skill. Otherwise that person who ripped you off 5 years ago is going to be constantly in your head.
Bingo.
And it's like, I've spoke about this a lot today because I've recorded quite a few podcasts today. We have to get rid of that noise. And it was something a friend of mine who's actually coming on the podcast, Matt Gallant, runs multiple companies, including a company called BioOptimizers. He's massively successful, but he again, every day is a constant practice of, he doesn't have to work, but wants to, right? Yeah. It's a constant practice of getting better inside your own skin, because what happens on the outside, it's like you become like a magnet, you know, and people want to follow or be close to somebody who is successful. But the challenge with social media is they're getting snapshots of what success is, and they're not seeing the complete other 23.9 hours that people are living with, this roller coaster of highs and lows. And as an entrepreneur, I love what you were saying before. It's a case of, are we addicted to the adrenaline, right? We're constantly getting dopamine hits. So is it just that the type of personalities that we are, if we weren't doing this, would be like back in the day, we might have been Spartans, right? Or samurai warriors, or it's the same genetics.
Completely. And I think that is why I started getting obsessed with saying, okay, what things can I do, learn, study, experience for that balance of the two? The meditation definitely helps, but I said, okay, what else can I add to that? So I have so many tools in my toolbox. And awesome. One of the most effective tools that I have found, in addition to the things like meditation and EFT tapping and whatnot, is comedy. Comedy is quite
You know
possible.
what? You're the first person that's ever said that, mate. And I completely agree with you.
Let's see, so about 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, when my anxiety and panic attacks were at their highest,
Right.
uh, I started studying stand-up, and I went and took stand-up. Now, I was speaking to teenagers at the time, so I could only use observational humor, and I couldn't
Gotcha.
swear, and it had to be in the midst of a motivational nutrition fitness speech. So my window and criterion, like, was pretty small.
Right.
I couldn't even say damn. So
Right, right.
I had to keep it very, very interesting. But I found that stand-up uh, just eliminates the ego
Yeah.
and makes you just look at everything through just the most joyous, hilarious perspective. That it's very healing. It's incredibly healing, and
Right.
even
I
just
agree.
watching other stand-up can just in a heartbeat just kind of put things into a beautiful perspective.
Totally. I love that, man. It's comedy. It's comedy. It's like, again, it's the fun, right? It's happiness.
Isn't Like, if you look at the craziest, saddest, there's exceptions to that, like
Of course.
losing family members and
Of
stuff like that.
course.
But if you look at a lot of the craziest things in our lives as they're going on, and then you fast forward in time and you look back at them, they truly become our best stories.
Yes,
And
totally.
as a speaker, I sat down, and now when I'm in the midst of those stories, I look and I say, this is going to be a really good vignette to say from stage one day. As I'm in the midst of the shit, I'm just like,
Right, right,
you
right.
know what? I'm going to get through this, and this is going to be a great story to say from stage right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Fuck me, this is crazy right now, but I know in 6 months this is going to be hilarious. I just got to make that 6 month mark, and this is going to be really funny, and I'm going to laugh about this.
But that's awesome that you can do that, because what most people do is they're living in that constant state of fear about what other people's opinions are or the future, right? And it was interesting. I told this story probably 1,000 times in the past on the podcast, but there's a movie by Adam Sandler. It's an older movie, but it's called Click.
Oh, I love that movie.
You're right, right. It's an interesting movie. The reason is, if people don't know, the guy finds a magic remote control. And what it is, it's about, is he starts working out that he can forwards things. He can forwards his life. So he starts forwards in like boring dinners. He starts forwards in like, oh, he's got to go to his kids' like rehearsal. He starts forwards in that. Then he starts wanting to find out these business deals, and he doesn't want to wait to see if they're going to happen. He starts forwards in it. And everything starts forwards and forwards and forwards and forwards in. And he gets old. And he's like, and he's living in this huge mansion. He's massively successful. He's got everything around him that he wants, yet he's just forwards through his life. Yet everything worked out. Everything was perfect. Everything was good. But he just missed out on that life. And I feel that that's what we do. We either numb ourselves with fear. We either constantly never present, right? Or we're constantly just, we're trying to get to the end of something, the end of something, the end of something. And it's like watching a movie. You don't just want to get to the end. If you just watch the end, you wouldn't make sense. You wouldn't have learned anything. You wouldn't have got perspectives. You wouldn't have connected with the hero or the heroine. You wouldn't have got any growth out of it. And with life, I feel that's what we're constantly doing, including myself at times. We're no such thing as a damn guru, man. It's like, you know what I mean? And that's why it always stuck to me, that film. I thought it was a good film. It wasn't like this crazy comedy. It was more introspective, you know? But I don't know what, that's a random thing I just brought up, Kyle, but you know?
But it's completely related, because if you look at the concept of, once I get, like, this is the entrepreneurial plight of, once I gain success, then I'll start living outside of my business.
Yes.
And the problem is, what is that definition of success? And they'll throw a number out.
Right.
And that number will come out And the problem is they hadn't done the work along the way. So it's like they didn't experience the feeling they thought that they would experience. And because of that, because they haven't experienced that feeling, that's it's like, oh shit, I've always felt like my sadness that I'm experiencing right now is because I'm not rich, I'm not successful. But once I'm successful, then I won't have this sadness, anxiety, panic, this. And all of a sudden they get that, and then they're like, oh shit, now what is it? And that's why so many of them just lose their stuff.
I love it because it's so true, because I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter what level of success they are, I could give you $1 million right now, and you'd be happy for about a week or two. And then what would happen is you start questioning because the old pattern's playing. So shit, is people going to take this from me? Or what happens if I never make this again? What happens if? Then again, the same pattern's playing. So it's not about the money, it's about the pattern. It's about the belief system. It's about where the pain it's coming from, right? And so when you're working with obviously people doing health, that must be just everything. That must be like you get into the root causes. It must just be, how do you explain that, what you do, man? Because obviously you've got a lot of knowledge around personal development too, man.
Absolutely. I really feel like that's the missing link. And at the end of the day, when somebody sits down with you, I got in a lot of trouble when I worked at a gym because I wouldn't memorize the stupid sales script. I refused to, because to me, you're not a script. You're a human being that I need to have a conversation with and figure out as best as I can. And I need to dig so deep, ideally, if you're willing to go there, that I can bring it all the way back to where the hell did this problem start in the first place? Right. So we can figure out how to get to where you want to go. And I'll have somebody and they'll be like in their 50s and they'll look all the way back and like, oh my God, my parents used to put me on a scale. I forgot all about that. And they used to fat shame me and say, you can't get fat. I forgot about. I'm like, well, no shit. I'm like, what magically happens at the age of 18 where all that stuff just goes away? It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It's all like the foundational makeup of who you are.
No,
now, if you're in a therapy office, there's going to be a lot of, and how does that make you feel? But if you're with me, I'm just going to be like, all right, let's address that heads on. And I'm going to give you my unique point of view.
Yes.
Only because I care. And because I don't have to deal with things like HIPAA or any of that kind of crap. And if you got a problem with me, you can just go away. I'm here to help you. And at the end of the day, so many people will come to the point of looking at their problem as this is my problem, and your problem is not what you think it is. I have pretty much never had somebody walk in the door to do any kind of coaching with me, or, most of my stuff is virtual now, or get on the phone. And their problem being anywhere near their problem they think, and their solution being anything near the solution they think. So the more that they can sit down and have that coachability of a world-class athlete, the better they're going to be.
Right. I love it, mate. I love it. So is that what happens? Is that what you do most? Because we're going to wrap it up in a minute, but so is that what most people you're doing these days? People are contacting you from all over the world and the US, and you're able to train them virtually?
Yeah. So I help them with really, I say living the life you want the way you want it. So I help them. And obviously at that core is their fitness and their nutrition and their daily habits and rituals. But it's all from a place of making the conditions work for them so that it fits into their unique lifestyle. I think personal development, for example, when you say we're all interconnected, even if you're just looking at your own family, as a parent of 2 kids right now myself, if I just focused on my personal development journey, which I had a few years I did, I was a pretty self-absorbed asshole that time. And I didn't realize it. It was because I wasn't really fulfilling my role as leader and parent, and the extension of personal changes to you and your spouse and your kids And then if you're a business leader, your team, and it's that leading by example. So it's the personal expands into leading by example so far beyond you. And then it's like the idea of dedicating a workout, right? If you sat here and you said, all right, I'm going to work out right now and I'm going to do 3 sets of 10 of this. And I just sat here as your accountant counting 1, 2, 3 to 10. And I suck at that part because I think it's useless. And I'm sitting here and I just count through your workout and tell you how many reps you did and counted your calories, and that was it. That'd be great. But if I sat here and I said, all right, let's change that intensity up a little bit.
Right.
There's a little kid sitting here and he's going to be watching your workout with me on this computer. This little kid is dying of leukemia. He never is going to get to work out, but he's going to watch you. And you said you were going to do this in his honor. So he's going to watch your work, knowing that this workout is in his name. How intense do you think you're going to train?
So intense.
Bingo. So that purpose, that motive is everything behind the whole thing. So I spend almost the entire time focusing on motive, your mindset, master skill sets, and then keeping momentum, because everybody's fired up. And right now we're in mid-February, and I would say 90% of people who set New Year's resolutions have now been super fired up about their excuses instead of their resolutions.
I love that. Yeah, it's true, man. So true.
So I think we're at a different place. But yeah, for me, basically coaching people along those lines and helping them get that fitness, nutrition stuff fully in place while trying to reprogram them to be the best versions of themselves in the long run.
Amazing, mate. I absolutely love it. What's the best? I'm going to put links everywhere for you, brother, but where's the best place to connect with you? Because I know that people are going to want to.
Love it. Easiest way is start through social media. If you go to Real Kyle Brown on Instagram, that's really easy. Because I'm not fake, it's Real Kyle Brown. Reach out to me there, and you can connect through the show as well. I will not have my people talk to your people. I'll talk to you.
I love it. I'm going to make sure the links everywhere, buddy. And I appreciate your time today, my man. I do. It's good to connect again and have a good chat, and we'll keep doing it.
It was so much fun. Thank you for setting this up, and awesome experience. So thank you.
My pleasure, mate. We'll connect real soon.
Yeah, most definitely. And thank you. Appreciate it.